Here is Boston. So on cue, the 489. Morgan Horan and Will Haddock in the navigator's seat. No issues today for those guys. An absolute cracking first lap. As I alluded to, a perfect run for them. Rob Knight now, the 655. Looks like he's a pause there as he come across towards the pit entry, but it looks like he's definitely heading into the pits. That's the 655 of Rob Knight. So Boston Morgan Horan, sector time of 26.23. So there you go, still 40, 45 or so seconds quicker than Travis Robinson to that first sector. Having a dream run out there, young Kiwi, and hope he can hold it together for another lap and a half. Put on a show for George fans here watching on home. So Bo Robinson, 413 on our screens. Back to Hank Parker in the 701. Chris Sollett won't be too far away. The 626. Daniel Challen, Matty Lawless, who was seated in at 24th positions, had an issue, obviously, and Hank Parker. He's still got a fair bit of this first lap remaining. Around the 70k mark, so still around 20k's to go for Hank. Daniel Challen coming through. He had that axle wheel issue yesterday. Hit a hole a bit quick, he said. Caught him off guard. And a bit of bush mechanics getting through that opening lap. Kai Camilleri, of course, we saw him. And Hank Parker's nearly at walking speed there at the moment, so keep an eye on that. Daniel Challen, better time for him. It's a quick one, a 59.06, so he's broken the hour mark there in the little Kmc Street. So Chris Sollett, only sports light better remaining on the circuit, 10.63. Should be one of the next cars through. Matty Lawless, though, not that far off him, so thereabouts. Dave Lufton's coming in the Honey Badger. Mark Robinson, likewise, is thereabouts. 38. Kane Bockman and Ian Downey also sort of within their last 10 kilometres or so on lap one. They're still waiting for that fifth car. Matty Lawless, there you go. So obviously, I know he's got another event coming up in the next couple of weeks in North Queensland at the Don River. Matty Lawless, and he's had a fuel sensor issue yesterday that held him back, and it looks like it might have poked its little head again this morning. Chris Sollett, though, no issues there for him. Julia Creek based in the 1063 Selitco car. And he heads off for his second lap. It's a 1 hour, 3 minutes, 2 seconds for Chris Sollett. Matty Lawless, 1 hour, 7 minutes and 40. So back on the outright order, still have Bo Robinson, Travis Robinson, Jared Percival, Brent Smoothie, our lead 4 cars to complete all laps so far past the 50 kilometre mark. Mark Robinson, fortunate for him to drop those laps yesterday. Looks like he's having a nice run. Great to see. And here is our second pro car. So that is on our lead lap, the 34. of Kai Camilleri and Luke Hendry. We saw them going to the pits. They did lose a few minutes in there. Not sure the issue. I know he had brake dramas yesterday. So the 34 of Kai Camilleri, there you go. So that was a 34.55, which is inclusive of that pit stop. So he sort of lost a good 6 to 7 minutes of time on his fellow competitors there, Kai Camilleri, although still well and truly in the hunt for some StGeorge399 silverware. Looks like Rob Knight entering the fray again, so obviously had a bit of a pit stop there in the little rush Can-Am. Good news for Rob Knight and Matty Leonard back out on the circuit. So Matty Lawless should be the only one at the moment that we know of in the pit area. Coming after that first lap, Hayden Bentley, here you go. So only in my calculations, Hayden Bentley should be running around that 5th outright spot at the moment. It's a great drive for him. There's still a long way to go. It's the 818 Hayden and Sam Bentley. There you go. So Dave Lufton is the next one to enter the pits. 1 lap in the bag for him. Dave Lufton. 104, Lachlan Bailey goes through. Halfway through his second lap here this morning. So Hayden Bentley's obviously made the pass on him. Saw what Boston Morgan Horan's done. So still waiting for Greg Campbell. Young Cry's out. So Greg Campbell, Sam Commons, Conroy Devine. There might be a little bit of a gap back to them. Here is Greg Campbell. Looks like Matty Lawless is headed back out, the 71. Greg Campbell is the next one through. Roland Burt in the navigator's seat. GRC Motorsport Can-Am Maverick R. So clear advantage now for Lachlan Bailey in this one for the side-by-side honours. Doesn't look like the 862 of Stephen and Deborah Ash have moved for a while also. That's the extreme four-wheel drive vehicles. Decent footage. Like on down the main farm roads here for Bo Robinson. Still doing it very nicely up in front for those watching on the stream. Kane Bockman and Ian Downey, a couple of our side-by-side competitors next through. Likewise, Brad, Ryan Zacher. Looks like Paul McCulloch is still moving along around the 78k mark. Paul Tuck Lee. He's about to get a little hurry on from Bo Robinson. Scotty Garver's also there. David Orport is still moving along. Hannah Bentley's clearly stopped at the 68 kilometre mark, which is bad news there for the Bentley team. Rossi Newman also looks like he could have stopped in the 6681 Yamaha at the 60 kilometre mark, so we'll keep an eye on that. Ross Newman. Looks like possibly Kane Bockman, Ian Downey. There's not much between these two. We see Matty Lawless on our screens. A couple more times for those watching on. Mark Robinson with a 58.39 that first lap. Dave Lufton of 58.22. But as I confirm, he's back in the pit area. Chris Solid with an hour 3. Hour 1:49. well and truly on our way from seeing our lead cars. I reckon we've got a couple of moves for those watching on home. Very shortly we can see some race dust ahead of the 413 by Robinson. Just overtaken Dave Allport, Tuck Lee as well. All the back markers here started down the order, but really great to see these competitors. So Ian Downey, the 696, he's got his hands up, so they've finished that lap. Clearly a few dramas for the Can-Am competitors. Hank Parker now, one of the final cars on the circuit. So here we go. Bo Robinson's about to make a move. I reckon it really might be Paul Tuck Lee. The pro single-seater Kane Bachman goes through. After a little bit of negotiating there, eventually Bo Robinson made the pass on Paul Tuck Lee. Kane Bachman commences his final lap here for Section 2, and it's a bit of a jump now on Ian Downey, who is in the pit area with Dave Luffman. Just those two competitors now. Sam Commons, Chris Weston, Conroy Devine, Cameron Von Bohm, Kmc, so the next one's expected through the 50-kilometre mark. So the 683, I reckon it's young Ryan Zacher in the driver's seat this morning. Not to be official, that one, though. Definitely looks like, I believe Ryan and Brad were sharing the duties in the GRC Can-Am X3 this weekend. That was a nice first lap for those guys. Kane Bachman went through in an hour 6 and an hour 4:59 for Zacher and Zacher. Ian Downey an hour 5:26. So between us here at event headquarters and our leading car on the circuit, young Sam Commons continues to impress this weekend. Tremendous drive so far. Binney in the navigator's seat, the 646 Westlime Motorsport Can-Am Maverick R doing some wonderful work here as he looks to conclude his race for the weekend. Bo's pass with a dust on the visor there for Robinson. The sun shining down on the Mason. Really closing in now, race fans. About 83 kilometres into this second lap, so only a few minutes left. Next of our side-by-sides through at the 50k mark. Conroy Devine, the 606, going through. Our local heroes, Paul McCulloch, now McDonald. Shouldn't be that far away. A bit of race dust ahead of Bo Robinson. Scotty Garver also in the 647. We've got a couple of cars, a couple of side-by-side Can-Ams about to finish their opening lap. And we've got an Angry Mason, Bo Robinson, Shane Hutt that great vision and the way he sets up for the corners. Professionalism through the roof here for the ABR team, and been around for many a years now. We see a drone shot of Robinson and Shane Hutt. So for those just joining us, as we approach 9:15 local time here in the Blown Shire at St George, the 2025 Kmc Wheels StGeorge399 Round 4 of the BFGoodrich Australian Off-Road Championship. Our current second place sitter in that championship. 416 points adrift coming into the weekend. Bo Robinson, Shane Hutt, and moments away now. Don't want to put the mocker on the boys. well and truly finish line in sight for Section 2, which means just one 90-kilometre dash remaining between them and their first title since the 2024 Fink Desert Race last June. So had some good finishes since then. It's been 12 months or more since they've last stood atop of an ORC podium. I think Parker's still moving. Poor Tuck Lee there about the similar spot. And here is the Paul McCulloch, Mount McDonald entry. So means that we're only seconds away, race fans, from seeing our lead car of the event. It's sort of hard to gauge sometimes with a lot of cars moving around, but the first car on the road and on the times provisionally is Bo Robinson and Shane Hart in the 413 two-wheel drive Mason 7-litre trophy truck, and he is just seconds away from coming across the line. So we see McCulloch head out for his final lap, and here we go. So right on cue, Scotty Garver in the 647, his first off-road race in the Rush Can-Am Maverick. He's going to get home just, I think, but I'll tell you what, he is hauling here in the Mason. He's going to come right behind him across the line. Garver will continue on for his second lap. There we go, past us here in the media hut. It looks like Scotty Garver's also gone through there in the 413. So 45 minutes now. Here's another great shot. Have a look at this. If you're on the camera, we see Travis Robinson coming up behind Paul Tuck Lee and Hank Parker. Hank Parker's got obviously a major issue there in the cruiser. Paul Tuck Lee's made the pass, and Travis Robinson, our second car, Travis Robinson, Paul Curry, get an official time. There we go. So a 50 laps, 1 hour 43:33 for Bo Robinson, Shane Hart. And our second car across the line is his brother Travis, our current championship leader. Won the last two ORC events at the Fink and the Loveday 400. Travis Robinson, a tremendous Sunday morning again for the ABRT, and just the one lap remaining for these guys. So, as I just said, a 45-minute compulsory service break, and then they'll head back into Parc Ferme before coming back out. So 1 hour 43:51. So yeah, definitely a lot quicker that lap, but still 18 seconds the difference between Bo Robinson and Travis Robinson. And there you go. So Hank Parker, whatever the issue is there for him, he's continued on, and he's come through the finish line behind Paul Tuck Lee and Dave Allport. So I reckon these are the last the final three cars on the circuit for Section 2. Paul Tuck Lee, Hank Parker and Dave Allport. So it's great to see Dave Allport having a nice run this morning. Paul and Kate Goody, though, I think it's still circulating. That's in the 678, so they shouldn't be that far off. So first two cars in the house, Bo Robinson, Travis Robinson. Only 18 seconds between those two, but it's still Bo Robinson who's extended that lead to around 45 seconds into that final lap. Outright times come. Jared Percival, well done, mate. You're in the house. That was a 52:22. So he's gone around nearly a minute slower than Travis Robinson on that lap alone. So he goes 1 hour 44:32, but he'll still be clearly in that third spot Just saw Dave Allport make the pass on Hank Parker and Simon Knight in the 701. Just got some news through that Dave Lufton did a power steering pump this morning, so that'll be the end of his weekend. Dave Lufton, an eventful one for him. So the quickest lap time so far of today is the 50:38.6 for Boston Morgan Horan. Bo Robinson's with a 51:17. And then Travis Robinson has gone pretty impressively considering the passing that would have been done on that last lap. He's gone about a minute 2 quicker on lap 2 there for Robinson with a 51:24. So as I said, he's put another sort of 40-odd seconds on Jared Percival for that second and third position. See some of these corners really running out, and Hank Parker's given us a good look of his own Parker whoops over the back of the start-finish complex. So Smoothie, Gary Olsen, and the next vehicle across the line. He broke the duck at the Loveday 400, his first finish in the Mason. And he's come home quite impressively here in the 8:47. Brett Comiskey going through in the 8:34, so still 30-odd kilometres remaining on his Section 2 for Comiskey. Your time for Brent Smoothie, so he goes fourth quickest for this morning. That was a 52:44, so 3 seconds quicker than his opening lap. So Smoothie, very consistent, just not quite at the pace of his 3 ahead of him. So around a minute slower off than Jared Percival. So Brent Smoothie clearly in that 4th spot with 1 lap remaining. So it's still WA 1, 2, 3, 4. Justin Biggs coming through now. Biggs Racing, Can-Am. It looks like Cameron Von Boehm hot on his heels in the 619. So another one of our newcomers to the sport from over Bow Desert Way. See these young Queenslanders, and he's not backing off one bit. Cameron Von Boehm, very impressive performance. So Boston Morgan Horan, I believe, will be the next competitor to complete the 2 laps this morning. Fortunately, out of outright contention, Paul and Kate Goody, the 678, should be the final car to come across the line. Looks like it's the Scotty Garver entry heading back out to the track, the 647. Just got a glimpse of that on our production. So they're back out of the pit area, the 647. So Boston Morgan Horan, what's the prediction? He's done a 50:38.6 the opening lap. He had a dream run with a couple of competitors ahead of him not making the start. He obviously got past Hayden Bentley early in the 2 side-by-sides of Lachlan Bailey, Greg Campbell. Kai Camilleri is another one that should be Yeah, looks like he's still moving along nicely. That's the 34, Hayden Bentley, Greg Campbell. Hopefully Lachlan Bailey's still moving there. We can hear Boston Morgan Horan over the finish line and down into the pit area. Great stuff, young man. That's a 489 home and hose. Very, very impressive. It's just such a shame yesterday, that rear diff failure on the opening lap, and he's gone just a little slower than opening lap. But, I mean, it puts it into perspective. We saw Robinson, our race leader, see the Goody combination go through. So that is definitely our final car on the circuit. Looks like Rossi Newman's had dramas. Bo Robinson with that 52.15 lap 2. Boston Morgan Horan 50.44. Uninvitably the position that Bo Robinson can afford to be in with a great lead in this event. Chris Weston, Ethan Perks going through in the rush buggy, the 61. So an overall time for Boston Morgan Horan of 1 hour 41.22. So 2 minutes and 11 seconds quicker than Bo Robinson. So nearly a lap a minute. Every lap, a minute advantage there for Boston over the rest of the field. But that's 5 cars home. We're still waiting for our 5th car to cross on the lead lap. But the exciting and the interesting part about this, which will really have no effect on the OBR crews, but Boston Morgan Horan will start the final lap once it's reseeded, regrouped in first position due to this section performance. So at the moment, it'll be Boston, Bo, Travis, Jared, and Brent Smoothie, the first 5 away for the final lap, the final sprint towards the finish of this one, the 2025 Kmc Wheels StGeorge399. So, yeah, around 45 seconds between Bo and Travis with that 1 lap remaining. So, Travis would have to pass his brother and put 15 or so. Actually, no, just pull within 15 seconds of him sort of to get that lead. But they'd be very happy where they sit. Tom Darlington comes through. So, Tom would be still running around that 2nd spot in class at the moment in the Pro Buggies behind sort of Jared Percival. Oh, sorry, Kai Camelli. So, yeah, 3rd spot. Pro Buggies. Lachlan Waters now coming through. It's been a nice Sunday for Lachlan Waters. Unfortunately, snapped the rear radius arm bolt yesterday, I believe. Lost the wheel and got that repaired back out on the circuit. Jack Livingston, another one that's pushing through over the back in the 6138. So a few of the cars were still waiting for the Sector 3 point. We know Dave Lufton retired from the event with power steering pump failure. Mark Robinson, we haven't seen him back through. Daniel Challen. We just saw Lachlan Waters go through. Nick Burt's another one. Chris Sollett shouldn't be that far away. So got a lot of competitors in sort of that last 40 kilometres of the circuit. The 34 of Kai Camilleri, Lachlan Bailey, Greg Campbell, and Hayden Bentley was there on our tracker before, but on cue, I think it should nearly be the 34 of Kai Camilleri, the Pro Buggy. Luke Hendry in the navigator's seat. Still waiting, as I said, for that 5th car to come through on the lead lap. Shout out to everyone watching on back at home. Being Les Criddle, the Frogs High crew, Savannah. Great supporters of the live stream action over the weekend. What a great production it has been from the team here at the StGeorge399. Round 4 of the ORC, round 2 of the Queensland Off-Road Championship, and round 2 of the South East Queensland Off-Road Racing Association Club Championship. Here is Nick and Alex Burt from Murray Bridge. So there is Camilleri and Hendry, our fifth vehicle home. A huge effort from young Kai, considering he's been in the pits. He had brake issues yesterday, so things quite haven't gone his way. It looks like Ian Downey's gone back out on the track there, the 696. He's just headed back out for his second lap out of the pit area. So Kai Camilleri, time for him. More great inboard of Hank Barker for those watching on. Marinoa Tyres in town. Thanks for your support. The 2025 StGeorge399. Of course, McIntyre Agriculture just couldn't be possible without you guys. The SEQORRA Club, Motorsports Australia, BFGoodrich for the naming rights sponsorship of the ORC, St George Freight Lines, the St George region itself, U2V Surgery, RDO Equipment, Rush Trucks, Black Diamond, Powder Coating, for all their support, and of course Stickman's Construction for the lending of the scissor lifts and so forth, especially for the production. So Kai Camilleri with a final lap 2 time of an hour 4 seconds. We saw he lost those valuable minutes in the pit area after lap 1, but he's through in a 1 hour 53.01, which still at the moment puts him in 5th position outright. But we still have the likes of Hayden Bentley, Lockie Bailey and Greg Campbell that can sort of throw that into the mix. So I reckon the 622 of Lachlan Bailey, Jordan Zolo should be the next vehicle through. You see the Ian Downey Can-Am now the final car on the track. It's a bit of a mix and a match here at the moment. A couple of our competitors that entered the pit area. Looks like Rossi Newman. It's still stopped at the 60k mark on that first lap. So that'll be the end of his day unless they're out there working on that vehicle. So Lachlan Bailey's overall time yesterday, 1 hour 56.09. So he was only sort of a minute or so off the pace of Kai Camilleri. Looks like Lachlan Bailey's still actually a couple of minutes behind Lachlan Bailey off the start. So maybe Kai Camilleri might have done enough here to, even with that pit stop, to hold 5th spot outright. We'll wait and see because Lachlan Bailey is just over the hill to our left. He's only a few seconds away now. Daniel Chall and Kylie Dennis. Last car past our 50-kilometre marker. All the way from Darwin in the NT. So huge effort from those guys. But any second now we should see Lachlan Bailey come over to our left. The meaty hut here. Greg Campbell also. So there is Lachlan Bailey. So great result. Good news for the South Australians. 622 is the 6th car to complete all 4 laps so far of the StGeorge399. That 1 lap remaining. Greg Campbell, Hayden Bentley expected to be the next 2 competitors. A bit of sad news there. Looks like Hannah Bentley's definitely had some dramas and hasn't checked in that first lap. She was stationary a good half an hour or so ago. So some good news hopefully on the horizon for Hayden Bentley, although not the weekend that Hannah was after. The 862, as I alluded to, stopped on their first lap. The Ash combination. I expect Campbell and Bentley to be pretty close to one another. Then young Sam Commons. Here is Greg Campbell, Ryland Burt. So Lachlan Bailey's final time of 58.22, Campbell of 59.06. So Lachlan Bailey's put nearly exactly 2 minutes on Greg Campbell. So he's got a good minute and a half advantage heading into the final lap. So advantage Bailey there in the side-by-sides. And Lachlan Bailey was actually sort of a couple minutes off the pace of Kai Camilleri, even with that pit stop. So still Bo Robinson, Travis Robinson, Jared Percival, Brent Smoothie, Kai Camilleri, Lachlan Bailey, Greg Campbell. But Hayden Bentley now, what can he do to the outright order? We'll get a time for him because he started a good 4 or so minutes behind. Yeah, they say there you go. So it's a 58.10 for Hayden Bentley on lap 2. A few minutes slower than that opening lap. So maybe an issue again for Hayden Bentley. That's a 1 hour 53.28. So I think Hayden Bentley will still be around that 7th or 8th spot heading into the final section. So maybe an issue there for the racer. A 55.18 the first lap and a 58.10 on lap 2 for Bentley and Bentley. Next couple of vehicles expected across the line. The 646 of young gun, the 15-year-old from Orange, Central West New South Wales, Sam Commons. Lachlan Benny in the navigator's seat. I'm sure the Westline crew will be very happy with this result. Of course, still not old enough as yet to be competing in the ORC component. Needs to be 16 years of age. So a few months away from that. I believe next year young Sam will be able to compete, and he's definitely a future star in the making. This is a huge performance for him. Matty Lawless on our screens for those watching on from wherever you are across the country. 71 Total Mine Solutions, Jimco. He did come into the pits after lap 1 like he did yesterday. He didn't actually finish his second lap yesterday afternoon, but Matty Lawless in one of the nice sounding cars on the circuit. Just to mention that the Canine guys down here, the Lions Club, lunch is getting ready. The bar will be open till about 1. So let's enjoy the Sunday out here in St George Paradise. It's a beautiful part of the world, the St George region. So if you're looking for something to eat, get down to the Lions Club and grab yourself something nice. It's a cold drink. There's a coffee van also available, plenty of food. Chris Sollett goes through in his single-seater in the 1063. So hats off to him, doing a good job out there. I'm sure it'd be good to see our good friend Dave Skinner out there. Geez, he was having a great run yesterday before that throttle bottle issue. Got the 655 of Rob Knight now, Matty Leonard going across, and another cool story of the ORC this year. He's just gone a bit wide there as he comes up to the approach over the top of that little crest, heading back towards the second part of the track, but everything's okay there for Rob Knight and the 655. So it looks like Conroy Devine has come across the line in the 606. So hats off to Conroy Devine. A tremendous effort for him. And here he is. I was just going to say, I hope I haven't put the curse on young Sam Commons, but hats off, mate. That is a tremendous drive I know you got a lot of supporters watching on via the stream and here on the track. That is the weekend over for both those competitors, Conroy Devine and young 15-year-old Sam Commons. But that is tremendous. To put it into perspective, Sam Commons has gone a 57.03, 57.40. He's actually held off Lachlan Bailey and Greg Campbell on overall time for that section only. And Conroy Devine, ladies and gentlemen, he's gone 7th quickest for the morning with a 1:53.18. So he's jumped in there ahead of Hayden Bentley in behind Kai Camilleri. So that was a great little battle there between Sam Commons and Conroy Devine. Conroy actually started a minute behind Sam, and he's obviously come home around 30 or so seconds ahead of him. So hats off to you. Obviously, Sam, only 15 years of age. Conroy, and I think he's only his 6th or 7th race start since taking up the sport at the end of 2024. And I'm sure finishing 7th outright in that section too so far, with a lot of our competitors still to come in, of course. But his hats off to you. And Sam Commons, well, it speaks for itself. What a time. I mean, Lachlan Bailey, Greg Campbell. As I said, Greg Campbell's been around forever, and a couple of side-by-side Australian championships. Lachlan Bailey looking for his first one this year in the new Can-Am Maverick R. Sam Commons a good 40 seconds quicker on that second lap. I know championship on the mind for both Bailey and Campbell. I know they just got to run their own race, but still puts it in perspective on just how impressive that morning drive was for Sam Commons. So well done, mate, and we'll see you on the track very soon. Bit of a look into the OBR crew as they well and truly into their 45-minute compulsory service break. Any time over that 45 minutes spent then goes on to their race time at the end of the day. So there is a break. Obviously, some events just have that hour break and then they go on to the final lap. But here at St George's this year, they're obviously to allow for these cars at the back of the field to get their service break in, and then we'll restart, I believe, around 1 o'clock maybe. So we'll bring you more news once it comes to hand there. We've got some more great in-car of Hank Parker in the 701 here on our screens. So, yeah, a few of our competitors, they're only doing the Queensland component so far that'll finish. So congrats to Conroy and young Sam Commons. Cameron Von Boehm, hopefully not that far away. So got a bit of a break back to Brett Comiskey in the 8:34. Justin Biggs, Chris Weston. Cameron Von Boehm seems to have lost quite a few places, so obviously issues there for him in the 619. He only started 2 cars behind Conroy Devine, who we've seen just finish. So So far we've just had the top 10 for the event that have completed all laps. Boston Morgan Horan, unfortunately, as I said, lost those 2 laps yesterday, so out of contention, but he stands atop Section 2 with 1 hour 41.22 a minute. 2 minutes and 11 seconds back to Beau Robinson and Travis Robinson. We'll start the final section in third. The way ORC works, it goes on the previous section starting order. So not on actual outright times. It goes on the speed of that previous section. So that means Boston Morgan Horan at 1 o'clock local time here at St George will lead out the cars. Hopefully no major issues there for Kai Camilleri. He did come in definitely not as quick as he come across that opening lap. Looks like Brad and Ryan Zacher going through. It's in the 683. Might be young Ryan in there behind the wheel, and he's got a crack today there in the GRC Motorsport hired Can-Am Maverick. See a great drone shot of our pit area here at the StGeorge399. All crews now in their compulsory 45-minute service break. We saw the ABR team. Bentley was there. Boston Morgan Horan. Kane Bockman now coming through in the 688. Smoothie truck there as well, so it's all happening down there in the pit area, working hard on these machines to get them out for that final section. So we're still waiting for our 11th car to complete full distance here for the weekend. See a couple of our side-by-side setups. Daniel Challen there, I think. It's like Lachlan Bailey, Greg Campbell and the like, so and Brett Comiskey and Corey Cooper aren't too far away now. Down over there on our hospitality area for the weekend. Head down there if you're on site and grab yourself something nice to eat. Cold drink, 8:34. Comiskey and Cooper. Here then coming in from the left of where we sit. This is our 11th vehicle to complete full distance. I'm sure he's ruining his mistake from yesterday. Brett Comiskey, of course, run out of fuel on that opening lap right at the death, so I'm sure there's a few people reminding him of that over the weekend. But good news for Brett Comiskey is he's in the house. That's the 11th car to complete full distance so far for the weekend. Justin Biggs in the 6150. Looks like he's going to be the next one through. So we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, Brett Comiskey, well done to you. And there you go. Even with that slow start this morning, that second lap for Comiskey was a beauty, a 54.53. So clearly the standout car over the sort of last 20 or 30 minutes. We saw Conroy and Sam Commons come in around that 56, 57 mark. So 54.53 is the sixth quickest lap time there on lap 2 for section 2. So well done Comiskey and Corey Cooper. That puts them up in the 6th spot for section 2. So a nice little starting position for them. Back on board with Hank Parker. He's still moving along. This will be the next one of our side-by-side competitors across the line. Biggsy Racing, Justin Biggs, probably his standout performance, I'd say, in his short off-road career. Hats off to him. Karen Kuranu in the navigator's seat. So we see the local legend, Paul McCulloch, now McDonald, come across in front of us at the 50k marker. So well and truly on his second section. And there is Justin Biggs across the line. So the 6150, Justin Biggs, gets his race finish. That was a 1 hour 37, so literally 0.4 of a second between his first and second lap there for the Gold Coast. So well done, Justin. And that is his event over. He's only in the Queensland component of the event. So 13th quickest for Section 2. He'll be very, very happy with that, and I'm sure he'll take home some Queensland Championship silverware. So I reckon Chris Weston, Ethan Perks shouldn't be that far away in the 61. And the 699 of Lachlan and Kevin Waters. Cameron Brennan, Von Bohm, also thereabouts. Jack Livingston, Miguel Alardi, having a nice crack, and then Tommy Darlington. So I reckon the next sort of 5 to 6 minutes will be very close. But Chris Weston, I reckon, is just about to come over the hill to our left for a finish. Sweet singing V8 of Chris Weston. Well done, mate. An unfortunate early exit for the guys at the Off-Road Rush team yesterday, but there you go. Chris Weston goes 6th quickest for this morning. That's a 56.23, so 5 seconds between his first and second lap. Overall time 1 hour 52.41. So Chris Weston, he's still got it, the old fox. I'm sure his father Reese will be very happy up on the hill. Doesn't do a lot of racing now. Cooper's sort of taken the ownership of the wheel. They did share the duties down at the Loveday 400 and, of course, the Fink Desert Race. He had a nice run down in Apachula this year, but it's great to see Chris Weston back out doing what he loves on the off-road circuit and a track that he also takes a liking to. Back on inboard with Hank Parker. We haven't seen much of him. He's not that far away from us here on the 50k mark, actually, which is some good news. So a couple more of our competitors should come past us very shortly. Looks like David Allport, Paul Tuck Lee, Scotty Garver, Hank Parker, Ian Downey and Paul Goody are still the competitors to come there. I see Cooper Weston down there giving his dad a bit of a fish shake, so it's good stuff there for the Westons. 6th quickest for the Section 2. Means I believe Cooper's going to jump back in the driver's seat for that final hurrah. Lots of smiles on the faces down there of the 61 crew, so great stuff. So Hank Parker here, looks like he's just been overtaken by... like another one of the side-by-sides there, so won't be that far away from seeing. Looks like, Mark Robinson definitely had some dramas. It looks like his weekend could be over there in the 481. Dave Allport and Christy Page, a few cheers up on the stands on the hill. That's a great little stanza there for the Allport and Paul Tuck Lee, fellow Central West New South Wales, Paul Tuck Lee hot on his heels. Lachlan and Kevin Waters, very nice finish there for those guys. Unfortunate, who knows where they could have been at the end of the weekend with little drama they had yesterday that put them on the side of the track. That was a 58.59 for Lachlan Waters, so 14th quickest for Section 2. So that is 15 competitors completed all 2 laps this morning in Section 2. Jack Livingston, Miguel Alardi is another one over the line. So that's the 16th car. Get you a time for Jack Livingston. That's a 1 hour 48. So around 40 seconds quicker on that lap. 2 hours 2:13. 16th position. Tommy Darlington goes 17th quickest for Section 2 as a 1 hour 1:28. So very nice there for him. So we see the first of our cars backing out of the pit area to go into Parc Ferme, which means our 45-minute service break is up, which is very important for these guys to make sure within that 45 minutes they get back out there and so they don't run the risk of any added time, a penalty, as they say. Cameron Von Boehm should be the next one through. Nick and Alex Burt, the 84k mark. Daniel Challen doing well. Matty Lawless still looks like he's moving along. Chris Sollett and Rob Knight, the next few cars. So just to go through a few of our provisional DNF so far. Looks like Ross Newman's run into some dramas on that first lap. As we see the Gava entry, the off-road rush Can-Am Maverick R coming through. Also Young Cry, we saw him come just through on that first lap and then having a problem. Hannah Bentley, fortunately, Tate Svensson, who we saw come through that first sector but haven't seen him since. Everyone else seems to be going pretty well. We know Dave Lufton's out of the event. He's in the pit area with some dramas. That's the 104. So 17 cars home. Mark Robertson was the other one that we saw through the first lap with a 58.39. Here is Hank Parker. Definitely well off the pace today. We'll try and catch up with Hank during the break and see what does the drama there in the cruiser. But the 701 with the retirement of Mr. Jeff Pickering due to no brakes yesterday. It's a strong result here. Would put a lot of pressure on Pickering if he goes to Kalgoorlie. I'm not sure if Hank Parker's intending to go over to WA, but we'll have to wait and see about that. So Cameron Von Boehm across the line in the 6:19. That's 18th quickest, so yeah, an issue there. 1 hour 12:42, which is around 15 minutes slower than his opening lap there for Von Boehm. And congratulations to him and Brian, and that is their weekend done in the 619. They're only in the Queensland component. Some great footage of just seeing those two Masons. It sort of resembles where they sort of sit within not only the event but the championship and just the season they've had. So still a long way to go for these crews. Still another 90 kilometres left. Nick and Alex Burt cross the line in the 4:32. And a nice last lap for them, a 1 hour 2:57. So they go 17th quickest, third in class for that Section 2, which will set them up nicely for the final showdown. So these cars are actually not going to the start line for those watching on. They're going into Parc Ferme, which gives them a 45-minute service break. So they'll sit those beasts there for a couple of hours now and not able to touch the vehicles at all. So once they get out of the car, that'll be it. till we go green, or I believe 1 o'clock, so still a few hours away from that. So 19 cars across the line. I know there's at least 3 or 4 of those that are just in the Queensland component of the event, which means I reckon we'll have around that 13 or 14 starters for Section 3 so far, which is the final lap, just a 1-lap sprint this afternoon. Daniel Challen and Kylie Dennis should be the next vehicle through. The Can-Am Maverick X3, Matty Lawless, another one of our Queensland competitors, Rob Knight and Chris Sollett. I think will be the next 4 cars across the line. Here is Challen and Kylie Dennis. See Jared Purcell making his way out to Parc Ferme. I thought Daniel Challen was having a nice run. He goes quicker again, about 40 seconds quicker on that lap with a 58.18. So he goes 14th quickest for Section 2. So he jumps in there behind Greg Campbell and in front of Lachlan Waters. So a nice couple of laps there for the Northern Territorian. Some great overshot drone footage there of our front leading cars. Only about 45 seconds between the two brothers. Bo with that advantage. He's put another sort of 17 or so seconds, 18 seconds on his brother this morning. It was Travis Robinson who lit up that final lap though between the pair. Around 45 seconds quicker than Bo. But it was Boston Morgan Horan, of course, who had the big win in Section 2. Fortunately for outright, it doesn't mean anything this weekend, but still banking some class points and hopefully see them at Kalgoorlie in a couple of months' time. Jared Percival, another great weekend for him. Hats off to Jared. He's keeping the OBR lads on their toes. And also Brent Smoothie, who's clearly in 4th spot, but at the moment not really making those inroads on Jared Percival to get back-to-back outright podiums in the ORC, but still, as I said, 90 kilometres to we can declare our champions for the Kmc Wheels StGeorge399. So still a couple of competitors to come through in front of us here at the 50k sector point. That's the 6, 7, 8 of Paul and Kate Goody. So it looks like they're having a lot smoother run this time. The first lap was 1 hour 8:46. The husband and wife combination from Kulkarn. So we'll keep a close eye on those guys. Paul Tuckley went through. It'll be the 71 of Matty Lawless and Clayton Callan, the next vehicle through. You know, I think it's a 45th year of the ORC next year. Started in 1981. I don't know if we can recall ever seeing 4 Western Australian cars in the top 4 going into the final section. I have to go through the history, through the records for that one, but I'll make an early call. I don't think we've seen that before. Seen a lot of OBR crews, WA guys at the front of the pack over the years, but to see 4 cars in consecutive fashion. Matty Lawless coming in very hot there over the finish line. 1 hour and 16 seconds along with that stop in the pit area. So great run there for Matty Lawless, Clayton Callan. That'll be the end of their weekend, only in the Queensland component of the event. It's the 20th quickest, so clearly dramas there, but he always looks fast Matty Lawless, there's no issues at all in front of where we were sitting. The next one through the 50 kilometre mark, it's the Ian Downey entry, the 696. So only a couple of competitors yet to come through. Might be it, actually, to be honest. So Matty Lawless, the last car across the line. Dave Lufton out, Mark Robinson, Chris Sollitt's not far away. Rob Knight in the 655. And then the Zackers.
go walking around for a couple of minutes.
So we're just down here at the Park Ferme after section 2 of the Kmc Wheels StGeorge399. A couple of awesome pieces of machinery here. We've got Trav Robinson. How'd you go, mate?
Yeah, good.
How's the run? Good, going well. Fresh as. How was your
Fresh as, bro.
your second lap? Sound a lot quicker than the first.
Was it?
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Oh, well, the latte machine was broken on the first lap, so we were mucking around trying to fix that. And Paul forgot the coffee beans. We found some more coffee beans on the start of the second, so I had a quick cappuccino and got on with it.
And you're within about 45 seconds of the race lead.
Am I?
So I think it's about 45.6 all up. You're starting P3 in this section.
Yep.
What are your thoughts? Just keep doing what you're doing. I know 1-2 is the goal and you're well on the way.
Yeah, these boys up going pretty good at the front. So we'll just let them go. We don't need to push any harder. And Bo and Huddy are setting a real good pace. So we'll just let them run out in front and we'll keep the championship alive and just hopefully come in second or third.
No worries, mate. There is Trav Robinson. We've got Brent Smoothie over here to our left. Oh, I just made the call. It's quite an extraordinary feeling here at St George. Like Love Day, Western Australia, 1, 2, 3, 4, mate. You're currently sitting in fourth, still within a chance of another podium. It must be a good feeling.
Yeah, no, it's good, mate. But same thing. We just really want to finish, get some more seat time in the car. You know, the truck's going really well. Yeah. Track's been good. The track's great. You know, we lost a bit of time yesterday, just in some dust and so forth. But so yeah, there's no use trying to kill ourselves today and wreck the machine. We just want to cross the finish line.
And then head to Kalgoorlie for another run.
And then slipped on river in between, and Kalgoorlie will let her rip.
Very good, mate. Yeah, all the best, and we'll see you at the finish.
Thanks, sir.
There he is, Brent Smoothie, currently fourth place here. We'll try and get a word with Jared Percival. Jared, if we can get you in here, mate. Great run. He had a nice start yesterday. Currently third outright. Nice place to be.
Yeah, car's going well, enjoying the track. It's new for us all yesterday and it's sort of starting to get a few more defined lines and a bit easier this morning, just with picking everything. But yeah, it's going well.
Not only your first time at St George, first time racing in Queensland for you. Bit similar terrain to back home in a few ways.
Yeah, like nice rock hard ground, which I sort of like with my driving style, to be honest. So yeah, might have to come back. So it's pretty cool up here. Very good, mate. And you'll start the final section there in fourth, but third outright, obviously going on previous section time, Boston will lead away. But yeah, just keep doing your own thing and keep alive in the ORC. Yeah, exactly right. Obviously, the boys in the trucks are all going pretty well. So yeah, we'll just keep plugging away and see if anything happens in the last lap. And I see you got Josh back in the Navigator seat this weekend. It's pretty cool. Yeah, he's going well. He's enjoying it. It's nice to get some young guys in the sport, bit of enthusiasm. So, yeah, he's reading the lead nav pretty well. So, yeah, it's going good. No worries, mate. All the best for the final section. There is Jared Percival, currently third place outright. We got Boston Morgan Horan, the Kiwi sensation.
Boston, mate, not the weekend you wanted, but beautiful Sunday morning. Well done, mate.
Yeah, thank you very much. Suppose yesterday wasn't the best, but well, it happens, right?
Yeah, that's right. You put down 2 good times today. I know you would have a bit of lap traffic. Tell us a bit about your run. Pretty clean?
Yeah, it was clean. Not really any mistakes. Just having fun. I just don't know the track too much, but yeah, just having some fun.
And the truck's obviously performing. I know you had a diff changed overnight.
Yeah, no, truck's perfect now. No issues. Just just fast, fun.
And you're leading the field out in the last section now. Goes on its previous section, so you'll be first away for the final section. So all the best, mate, and we'll hopefully see you at the finish.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, there he is, Boston Morgan Horan. I think they might have caught him by surprise, but he'll be leading the field out for section 3. Might just try and get a word here with Hayden Bentley. Just grab a word, Hayden, if that's all right, mate. Well done, mate. A nice section. We saw you lose a couple of minutes on that final lap. Anything with the truck? Or?
Yeah, we had brake issues. They were starting to fade early in the last lap. They were getting worse and worse, and I didn't know what was going on. And then we had a Hail Mary and nothing at all. We just, pedal went to the floor and that was it. So we literally just crawled in. Crawling, because with torque converters they don't pull up real good. So no, we let a couple of guys back past and crawled in, and we've got the problem fixed. So here we go.
I think you're still around that 6th outright, so it's still not a bad spot to be. The car's all good to go. Yeah,
we had a wastegate issue yesterday. We snapped the valve off, so we had no power, and fixed that. It was going really well today, and looking forward to the last lap. If we can have a trouble-free run, hopefully we can bail some up.
And unfortunately, it looks like Hannah hasn't made it around. Any insight of what happened out there?
All I've heard is potentially a motor, but I don't know. She was getting towed and we met her on a straight. There was no bends or damage, so it's just something mechanical, which is, unfortunate, but she was driving really well. But, it is what it is. That's racing.
No worries, mate. All the best. Great to see you back up here and see you at the finish.
Thank you. Let's hope so.
There he is, Hayden Bentley, of course, former ORC champion, 2-time Fink winner. Now go to one of our first side-by-sides, Greg Campbell, mate. It's been, one of those weekends in the side-by-side field, up and down, back and forth, but you find yourself well placed. You're about a minute or so behind Lachlan Bailey now, but the championship well and truly alive still. Tell us a bit about your run out there then.
It seemed to start off okay, but we just had a loss of power in the first lap. We don't have a reason why, and then it didn't want to let me downshift, so we're losing a lot of time out of the slow corners. It would go, when it had decent revs, it would go okay, so it was just fuel. We can't really see anything wrong with it. There's not much time in that 45 brake. Yeah. But it seemed to come a little bit better towards the end, so we're just hoping we had a bit of bad fuel. Yeah. But no, other than that, it was a clean run and we're just trying to be smart. So we had a good fun race with Lachlan, passed each other backwards and forwards. So, no, we're having a ball.
You like this sort of train. I know you made mention that in the OIC interview yesterday. It's a track you've had some good results on, so it's a lot of similar stuff to sort of some of the New South Wales terrain.
Yeah, I really like that tight, twisty stuff through that. Yeah, that stuff that reminds me of Warrialda, or your hometown. Yeah. So that's all great fun through there, and that's where we got back on Lockie and then slipped past him for a while, but we got to a couple of fast bits and he was gone. But it seems to have come good, so hopefully it's just fuel. We can't really find a reason for it, so keep our fingers crossed and poke around for this lap, hopefully.
It's still a long way to go, obviously 90 kilometres and then on to Kalgoorlie at the end of the season. So your obviously main goal is a side-by-side championship, and it looks like you and Lachlan are going to fight that out.
Yeah, we've got Millicent with my son Lachlan in a month or so. That's between Kalgoorlie, so that's sort of more my main interest, is to look after the car for him and hopefully give him a car back in one piece, so touch wood. So we'll just nurse it around for a lap and we are where we are.
No worries, mate. All the best to the final section. I'll just try and get a word with Lachlan Bailey if we can get in here. How'd the car go, Jordan? All good, mate?
Not too bad at all.
No dramas?
Broke another hole in the exhaust, but got that fixed, so yeah, little agricultural fix.
And how's he driving?
My driving. My navigating, I don't know. Yeah, Lockie's pretty good, so yeah, nice and safe.
There you go, Jordan's. I was trying to get a quick word with Lachlan if we can, mate. How'd you go, mate? You've regained the side-by-side pro lead. Tell us a bit about your run.
Yeah, we pushed a bit to start with until we got past Greg, and then we were sort of cat and mouse with him for a bit, which was pretty fun. Ended up getting him on one of the straights, and then we got a bit messy a little bit there and bent a front arm and all sorts, but cleaned it up for the second lap and hopefully do the same for the third lap today.
And you're a bit the same as Greg here for the long haul, the side-by-side championship. Obviously, you're doing all rounds this year and Kalgoorlie coming up. So, unfortunately, with Glen Ackroyd off the track, it looks like it's going to come down to you and Greg.
Yeah, unfortunately, with what happened with Glenn. But, yeah, it puts us in a pretty good position.
Anyway, mate, doing South Australia proud. All the best for the final section.
Cheers.
There we go. Lachlan Bailey currently leading the side-by-side pro class here, around 7th outright. So that's most of our drivers done down here on our Park Ferme walk. Competitors will continue to come in, still finishing a couple of our back markers on the second lap, and then we'll head out around 1 o'clock. So still a couple of hours away from Section 3, where Boston Morgan Horner will lead them out for being the Section 2 victor. And then the big boys will battle it out for outright honours. Bo Robinson, Shane Hutton, of course, Trav Robinson and Paul Curry, followed by Jared Percival, Joshy Howard and Brent Smoothie. So WA 1, 2, 3, 4. Kai Camilleri still well placed in 5th. So we'll be back very shortly with more action from the StGeorge399.
Welcome to UTV Surgery, where passion meets performance. With years of experience collaborating with top UTV companies, we pride ourselves on our partnerships with industry leaders such as KWI Clutching, renowned for their excellence in clutching, and Evolution Power Sports, the best in performance upgrades. We offer a wide range of services, all performed in-house. From mechanical to electrical solutions and fabrication, we are your one-stop shop for all UTV. Our commitment to quality extends to our choice of products, including suspension systems from HCR Suspension, Kmc Wheels, and EFX Tires. We also can provide the most comfortable race seats and specialized in-house shock absorber valving and tuning, guaranteeing that you make the best decision for your riding experience. We look forward to serving you soon. Please visit our website for more information about our offerings and how we can enhance your UTV experience.
Well, we've made it down to Fink. We're in a good spot. We're first in class and 19th outright, so we've done what we came here to do. These things are amazing. You know, the bumps are the worst bumps I've ever seen, but they're so much nicer to go over. Running these 35s, the Moto Rally, the EFX tyres, the grip with them is unbelievable. Look, we just hit the stuff as hard as we can. I'm not worried about it. We got we got those new forged rims. These things have been unbelievable.
Welcome to UTV Surgery, where passion meets performance. With years of experience collaborating with top UTV companies, we pride ourselves on our partnerships with industry leaders such as KWI Clutching, renowned for their excellence in clutching, and Evolution Power Sports, the best in performance upgrades. We offer a wide range of services, all performed in-house. From mechanical to electrical solutions and fabrication, we are your one-stop shop for all UTV. Our commitment to quality extends to our choice of products, including suspension systems from HCR Suspension, Kmc Wheels, and EFX Tires. We also can provide the most comfortable race seats and specialized in-house shock absorber valving and tuning, guaranteeing that you make the best decision for your riding experience. We look forward to serving you soon. Please visit our website for more information about our offerings and how we can enhance your UTV experience.
Well, we've made it down to Fink. We're in a good spot. We're first in class and 19th outright, so we've done what we came here to do. These things are amazing. You know, the bumps are the worst bumps I've ever seen, but they're so much nicer to go over. Running these 35s, the Moto Rally, the EFX tyres, the grip with them is unbelievable. Look, we just hit the stuff as hard as we can. I'm not worried about it. We got we got those new forged rims. These things have been unbelievable.
Welcome to UTV Surgery, where passion meets performance. With years of experience collaborating with top UTV companies, we pride ourselves on our partnerships with industry leaders such as KWI Clutching, renowned for their excellence in clutching, and Evolution Power Sports, the best in performance upgrades. We offer a wide range of services, all performed in-house. From mechanical to electrical solutions and fabrication, we are your one-stop shop for all UTV. Our commitment to quality extends to our choice of products, including suspension systems from HCR Suspension, Kmc Wheels, and EFX Tires. We also can provide the most comfortable race seats and specialized in-house shock absorber valving and tuning, guaranteeing that you make the best decision for your riding experience. We look forward to serving you soon. Please visit our website for more information about our offerings and how we can enhance your UTV experience.
Well, we've made it down to Fink. We're in a good spot. We're first in class and 19th outright, so we've done what we came here to do. These things are amazing. You know, the bumps are the worst bumps I've ever seen, but they're so much nicer to go over. Running these 35s, the Moto Rally, the EFX tyres, the grip with them is unbelievable. Look, we're just hitting stuff as hard as we can. I'm not worried about it. We got we got those new forged rims. These things have been unbelievable.
Welcome to UTV Surgery, where passion meets performance. With years of experience collaborating with top UTV companies, we pride ourselves on our partnerships with industry leaders such as KWI Clutching, renowned for their excellence in clutching, and Evolution Power Sports, the best in performance upgrades. We offer a wide range of services, all performed in-house. From mechanical to electrical solutions and fabrication, we are your one-stop shop for all UTV. Our commitment to quality extends to our choice of products, including suspension systems from HCR Suspension, Kmc Wheels, and EFX Tires. We also can provide the most comfortable race seats and specialized in-house shock absorber valving and tuning, guaranteeing that you make the best decision for your riding experience. We look forward to serving you soon. Please visit our website for more information about our offerings and how we can enhance your UTV experience.
Well, we've made it down to Fink. We're in a good spot. We're first in class and 19th outright, so we've done what we came here to do. These things are amazing. You know, the bumps are the worst bumps I've ever seen, but they're so much nicer to go over. Running these 35s, the Moto Rally, the EFX tyres, the grip with them is unbelievable. Look, we just hit the stuff as hard as we can. I'm not worried about it. We got we got those new forged rims. These things have been unbelievable.
Bit of a difference. What's all that about? Keep tagging. Fuck yeah. But I pull up into the service on the side of the road, I pull this massive truck out, and the fucking lights were fucking coming over, and the cameraman jumped out with fucking wings, and they're all around the car. And it was the middle of the night, it's like fucking daytime. Oh, I've got that covered. It's not one, I've got like heaps of them. They position them around the track, so we're driving a stick in the car while fucking jacking it up, taking tyres off, put tyres back on. 3, 2, 1, fucking. As far as I could see, just Starling.
Welcome to UTV Surgery, where passion meets performance. With years of experience collaborating with top UTV companies, we pride ourselves on our partnerships with industry leaders such as KWI Clutching, renowned for their excellence in clutching, and Evolution Power Sports, the best in performance upgrades. We offer a wide range of services, all performed in-house. From mechanical to electrical solutions and fabrication, we are your one-stop shop for all UTV. Our commitment to quality extends to our choice of products, including suspension systems from HCR Suspension, Kmc Wheels, and EFX Tires. We also can provide the most comfortable race seats and specialized in-house shock absorber valving and tuning, guaranteeing that you make the best decision for your riding experience. We look forward to serving you soon. Please visit our website for more information about our offerings and how we can enhance your UTV experience.
Well, we've made it down to Fink. We're in a good spot. We're first in class and 19th outright, so we've done what we came here to do. These things are amazing. You know, the bumps are the worst bumps I've ever seen, but they're so much nicer to go over. Running these 35s, the Moto Rally, the EFX tyres, the grip with them is unbelievable. Look, we just hit the stuff as hard as we can. I'm not worried about it. We got we got those new forged rims. These things have been unbelievable.
Did you see it happen? You did it very smoothly. Walking through. Yeah. Talk back over there, yeah. Oh, do you want another battery? Can you talk back just in case it fails? Nah, it should be right. Should be right. I'm only out there for like a half hour. I turned it off and everything. Oh, okay. So 25 cars. Yeah, Shane only wants me to get it to go park and then bring the camera over for this.
Welcome to UTV Surgery, where passion meets performance. With years of experience collaborating with top UTV companies, we pride ourselves on our partnerships with industry leaders such as KWI Clutching, renowned for their excellence in clutching, and Evolution Power Sports, the best in performance upgrades. We offer a wide range of services, all performed in-house. From mechanical to electrical solutions and fabrication, we are your one-stop shop for all UTV. Our commitment to quality extends to our choice of products, including suspension systems from HCR Suspension, Kmc Wheels, and EFX Tires. We also can provide the most comfortable race seats and specialized in-house shock absorber valving and tuning, guaranteeing that you make the best decision for your riding experience. We look forward to serving you soon. Please visit our website for more information about our offerings and how we can enhance your UTV experience.
Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome back to the final section of the 2025 Kmc Wheels StGeorge399 here in the Blown Shire. It is Boston Morgan Horan, the young Kiwi, on the line. Dominated Section 2 this morning. That is why he's at the front of the grid. That's how RC works. The previous section positions you in the starting grid for the following section. So unfortunately for young Boston, out of outright contention this weekend, but great to see him back out here after diff dramas yesterday, the 489. Next off the line will be Bo Robinson, our event leader, as we stand 45 seconds over brother Travis in the outright order. And then another 2.5 minutes back to Jared Purcell in third spots. Brent Smoothie and Kai Camilleri, your current top 5 outright position. So just over 2 minutes remaining. See some great shots here from our great cameraman here on track. The live stream guys have done a brilliant job this weekend covering all the action. Share it around. This is the final section of round 4 of the BFGoodrich Motorsports Australian Off-Road Championship. The Queensland component is all wrapped up, so congratulations to all those competitors who have finished the 4 laps over the weekend for round 2 of the Queensland Off-Road Championship component. Safe travels to all those guys. I'm sure we'll see them, feel them at the awards ceremony later this afternoon, but we're down to business. It's the penultimate round of the ORC for 2025, and our championship frontrunners, Bo Robinson, Travis Robinson, Jared Percival, are right in the mix. WA 1, 2, 3 and 4, as we alluded to in our Park Ferme walk an hour or so ago. Great run from Chris Weston earlier. Those guys will start out a 6th spot behind Brent Smoothie. Brett Comiskey couldn't get the truck started on the start line. Actually talked to him down at the food area before, and it's been unfortunate for those guys. Just a minute to go, race fans. So if you're watching on from home, this is the start of Section 3, the final hurrah, the final 89-kilometre sprint to the finish. And I'm sure that's what it's going to be for Boston Morgan Horan. A section time of 1 hour 41.22 earlier this morning. He blitzed the field by over 2 minutes. Back to Bo Robinson and Travis Robinson, second and third. But they know, the Robinson boys know that Boston's out of contention, so they'll let Boston do his thing here, and then it's down to the grind for Bo and Travis. Of course, Jared Percival will start ahead of Brent Smoothie. Kai Camilleri then behind Comiskey, Hayden Bentley and Lachlan Bailey will be our first 10 off the grid here this afternoon as we get underway for Section 3. Been a great weekend here in St George for the 2025 Kmc Wheels StGeorge399, and Boston Morgan Horan has the honour of starting the final section. Wind the boost up there on that twin-turboed Geyser Brothers trophy truck from Auckland in New Zealand. He's put on a beautiful display of off-road racing this morning. A lot of shout-outs to him across the net. So what time can Boston do? I think a 50.38 was his quickest by memory this morning. A 50.38. Can he knock that off this afternoon? He is going to have a perfect conditions. No one in front of him. It's all about more valuable seat time. They've come a long way to be here now to the line. Bo Robinson, Shane Hutt leading this event, I must say, leading the event by 45 seconds. 45.3 to be exact, over his younger brother Travis Robinson. They are first and second respectively in the championship, with Travis with the upper hand. Sure favour them others watching on from back home in WA. So we wish the OBR crew all the best for the next hour or so of competition. And interestingly about this little battle here, Travis actually doesn't have to pass Bo on track to take this event, so we'll just have to wait how this plays out. This is a long way from being over. Travis, of course, looking for 3 ORC round victories in a row. It's an extraordinary feat, but his big brother Bo wants something to say about that, to close the gap before the big one at the Kalgoorlie Desert Race. So Bo Robinson, Shane Hutt off the line now. Travis Robinson and Paul Curry roll to the grid in the 813. 18 seconds slower than Bo in that opening section this morning. As I said, around 45 seconds. So that'll be what we'll be keeping a really close eye on as we see Boston on our Livestream doing some wonderful work over on Parker Whoops for the final time this weekend. Such a shame he exited the race yesterday. It would have been a great battle between these three. Travis and Paul Curry. The wind is definitely here this afternoon, coming sort of from the southeast of the complex. Our third vehicle off and running. There's a lot of battles within the battlegrounds here. That's a big push there from Travis Robinson. Had a yarn to him in the Park Ferme. He reckons they were looking for coffee beans around the track on that first lap. They're taking it that easy, but he didn't look like he was slouching off there, that's for sure. Jared Percival now on the grid in car 2. Joshua Howard, another young gun off-road enthusiast from over in Perth, WA. It's great to see him having another very, very good run here in the Element Prodigy. Motorsports Australia officials down there getting a glimpse of that car. First of our pro cars away, Jared Percival. I'm sure he's got a lot watching on from over in the West. It's Western Australian domination as we stand right now. As I said, filling those top 4 outright positions heading into the final section. See our all-wheel drive Mason heading through Parker's Whoops there. Percival's going to have a good push here as well. It's here around 2.5 minutes off the pace of Travis Robinson. Probably knows that that's not going to be in his reach here this afternoon. He'd have to have things go his way. I'm sure we'd be happy just to hold on to that third spot. But Brent Smoothie now to the grid. Gary Olsen on the 8:47. Dropped a minute or so on Percival this morning. 59 seconds to be exact. But currently in that 4th outright position. I'm sure if you give that to him at the start of the weekend, so a great start there for Smoothie. He said the truck is performing nicely, how he just likes it. So finally got the engine sorted out. Got some wood here for Smoothie and Olsen, but the 8:47, our 5th competitive vehicle off the line for Section 3 here this afternoon. Just never know, anything's possible in this great sport of off-road racing, so don't count out Brent Smoothie just yet. Now onto the grid. Great story from Section 2. Saw Chris Weston take to the wheel of the 61 off-road rush buggy, and he had Ethan Perks in for the first time, and now Coop Weston and Benjamin Boland take to the wheel here. So we wish them all the best. Another team that unfortunately had a mechanical issue yesterday out of the outright contention, but 6th quickest this morning for Chris Weston. Handed the keys over to son Cooper and said, "You have a go now, mate." And I'm sure the Weston family are watching on proudly once again. So a nice jump there for Coop Weston. He's going to give it a big crack here this afternoon. I'm sure he's trying to bring home the 61 in one piece would be the aim. Now to the grid is the next of our extreme four-wheel drives, Sabrenthal 7 litre V8, Brett Kaminsky and Corey Cooper. We saw them miss the start by a good couple of minutes, so it's one of those what could have been weekends for Brett Kaminsky. Wasn't overly pleased with what's happened over the last 48 hours or so. However, still finds himself in around 11th outright on the outright order. So a strong lap here, and Brett Kaminsky will no doubt be hovering around that top 10 position. So CMS Racing, huge supporter of the SEQORRA Club. These races here at St George, we see his logo on our live stream across the weekend, a sponsor of this event. Brett Kaminsky always giving back to off-road racing, especially here in the Queensland ranks, and currently running 4th in extreme four-wheel drive. Sure, he'll be looking to pick up the crumbs if something happens to one of our front-running cars there in that class. now to the grid and in 8th position off the line here, but currently 5th outright position is Kai Camilleri. And Luke Hendry, I believe he had some type of dramas in that previous section. Not exactly sure what happened with the 34. Something come amiss at the bottom of the car there in the engine cage. However, the 34, he came across the line pretty solidly. Did have that little stint in the pit area for a couple of minutes. If you give Kai Camilleri and Luke Hendry a 5th place finish, second in class at the start of the weekend, I am sure he would have took that. So he's around a couple of minutes ahead of Hayden Bentley in that 5th spot. So I'm looking sure that'll be what his goal is here, to hold on to that top 5 result and a class podium this weekend. So we wish young Kai Camilleri all the best. Hayden Bentley now rolls up to the starting orders. We chatted to him before, and he's been the final section of an off-road race probably more than anyone out here over the course of his career. Been around for decades now. Hayden Bentley, got young Sam, his son, in the navigator's seat. The 818, the 4-wheel drive racer engineering, of course. So these trucks now with that 7-litre V8 in the back of the truck. Long time Toyota Tyres supported Bentley Motorsports. Oh, the big push. I know he said he had some brake issues on that previous section. Held him back. I know he's about 2.5 minutes slower on that second lap, which is a big drop off for Hayden Bentley. We're currently 6th outright in this event, 3rd in that extreme 4-wheel drive class. So keep an eye on Hayden Bentley and that little battle between him and Kai Camilleri for that 5th spot in the outright order. Another one off the grid is on 10th spot, Lachlan Bailey and Jordan Zolo. Another crew that are here for the championship. They're here for the long game. But remember, these competitors, it's round 4 of the 2025 ORC. They've been to Pooncarie, northwest of Mildura, and the teams went to Alice Springs for the Fink Desert race. Oh, he's getting all untidy there. Kai Camilleri, almost a moment there for the young gun out of Mackay. He's kept it on all 4 wheels, which is a good thing. So Lachlan Bailey now has a nice little advantage, just under 2 minutes over Greg Campbell in the outright standings. And that's for the side-by-side pro honours. And of course, to take the lead in the Kalgoorlie for the side-by-side Australian Championship for this year. So that's our first 10 vehicles off the line for the final section. Greg Campbell is the next one away. So the battle between he and Lachlan Bailey continues. As I mentioned, Lachlan Bailey definitely got the upper hand in that previous section. Greg Campbell said he had lost a bit of power there during that first lap this morning. 6:51, Ryland Burt in the navigator's seat here this weekend without his daughter Tori, who's a usual navigator for Greg in the ORC this year. Here's our 11th vehicle away. Daniel Challen had a nice section too. Had some dramas late yesterday. Kylie Dennis in the navigator's seat. They were around 30 or so seconds off the pace of Greg Campbell in that previous section. So another crew that are just looking to put out another lap. Been a very consistent team all the way from Darwin in Northern Territory. So big commitment to chase the ORC. One of the leading side-by-side pro cars running the older model, the X3. So we wish Daniel and Kylie all the best in the car 626. As we reach the halfway mark of the field, it looks like the 699 is now making his way to the starter. That's the Lachlan and Kevin Walters entry. Another one of those competitors who would have definitely been in that sort of top 8, 9 as we stand if he didn't have that late mechanical failure yesterday. His first run in his new Can-Am Maverick R. I know the plan was to have that ready for the 2026 season. He's obviously got in, done a power of work behind the scenes, and Here he is. He actually bought the ex-James Cook Kmc X3, which he's had the last couple of years since James Cook moved up into the pro class. Shout out to Cook if he's watching on the stream, but all the best to the son and father combination here in the 699. Former St George locals, now reside in Toowoomba. That's exactly half of our competitors off the line here for Section 3. 26 starters, only the one seed, which was Ross Newman, who didn't finish either of the laps this morning. Good to see Ross back on the starting grid. Jack Livingston now makes his way to the starters' lights, a 6.138. Now Jack finds himself in around 10th outright spot when we remove the state competitors from our outright times. So Jack Livingston possibly on the verge. I know at 90 kilometres to go, we don't want to put the mocker on young Jack, but on the verge of his highest outright finish at an ORC level event. He's got Miguel Alardi in the navigator's seat, another team from down south of New South Wales, his first full season in the ORC. Off the grid is another one of our father and son crews, Nick and Alex Burt in the V8 Rush truck. Great to see so many of these on the line this weekend. With our side-by-sides, of course, the Western Rush buggy and 3 or 4 of the Rush trucks. So it's been a great weekend for the guys behind the scenes there. Nick Burt, first time competing in St George, first time, like a lot of these competitors, have made the trek up from South Australia into Queensland to compete. The engine just hasn't sounded exactly spot on all weekend, and hopefully they've got everything sorted for this final lap. But Nick Burt still around that sort of 12th, 13th outright heading into this final lap. So I'm sure another consistent 90 Ks. I think it's young Waters getting all up and untidy as well through that Parker whoops. A bit more confidence, I suppose, behind the wheel there under the helmet for these competitors. Things a bit harder than they did earlier in the weekend. So I know he's out of the outright battle, but just keep a good eye on young Lachlan Waters there. I think he might have a bit of a pearl of this last lap. Tommy Darlington now to the grid in the 63 Mendiola, now based at Southbrook, just out of Toowoomba. Tommy's had a pretty clean run so far this weekend. Nathan winning in the navigator's seat. He's another around that 14th outright in the standings so far, and currently third in the pro cars. So out to be a nice little weekend for Tom Darlington, and he's fairly new still to the sport. Of course, the brother-in-law of Michael Napier, Naps, known around the off-road ranks over at Gundy. Rob Knight now takes the starter's orders in the 655. Matthew Leonard in the navigator's seat. Another one of our off-road Rush Can-Am Maverick R's. First full season in ORC. Currently around 7th outright in the side-by-side championship, but another solid lap here, and I'll tell you what, he'll find himself really pushing up there towards that top 4 or 5 spots. Heading to Kalgoorlie, which I'm sure is on the plan for these guys. Great to see them in our sport. And it's a great initiative, these new Can-Am builds, and getting bums on seats and new faces to these races, and it's the only way the sport is going to grow. So all the best to Rob Knight there, taking off in 17th spot, and he himself is hovering around that sort of top 15, 16th outright after the 4 laps so far. Scotty Garver now on the line in the 647. It's one of the last cars off the line this morning and had a good couple of laps. He was about 36 minutes quicker in Section 2 than Section 1 yesterday, so obviously a clear issue. We saw him stopped over near our checkpoint 50k sector, and he's down around 25th outright as we stand. So a big lap needed here for Scotty Gaver, but I'm sure he's very happy to be out and about with his sons sharing the navigating duties there in the 647. So that's around 17 or so minutes elapsed since Boston Morgan Horan left the line. Dave Allport now rolls to the grid. Dave Allport currently in 25th outright. We had tyre drama yesterday. It was 27 minutes quicker on this morning's 2 laps, so very happy with that. And I'm sure he's looking to put down another great time. Some awesome drone footage here of the 432 doing battle. Great set. Nice lush crop in the background. A V8 rush truck doing its thing in the centre of our picture. Dave Allport, good luck, mate, as you head out for that final 90Ks. I know the family are here on the hill supporting. They've got Nabiac coming up, the last round of the New South Wales Championship. They've got plans to contend the 50th of the Think next year. So, great family team. Remember as a little kid sitting on the fence at Warrialta watching Dave's father, Dick Allport, go around the tracks, and to see Dick up here from Crookwell this weekend, a legend of the off-road scene, watching his son do battle at St George. Kane Bockman is an ex-competitor away in the 688, another brand new competitor to the scene. Luke Mitchell, the navigator, the ex-Justin Ryder Can-Am. We wish him all the best. He's currently, as we stand, he's also finished all lap times, and he's sitting around that sort of 18th to 20th position. You'll see, if you're on race result, if you can get enough service to see the race result, Kmc Wheels StGeorge399. The times are there, although there's some state competitors in that will drop off with this lap completed. So Kane Bockman was the 20th competitor off the line, so only sort of a handful left to go. Next one up is Paul McCulloch, the local hero. So shout out to Paul and now McDonald here. It's that first lap yesterday, but still got around. He's finished all competitive distance so far, all 4 laps. So we're not as high up as he would have liked. I know he's a hard charger, Paul McCulloch, and he's got family and friends here and the whole St George region behind him. Actually, sounds like there's a bit of an engine drama for Mark Robbo Robinson in the Chevrolet trophy truck, the 481. We won't see the red rocket back out here today. And Hank Parker did manage to get it around, which is great. 2 hours 30 was the final car across the line, so we'll see him very shortly. So Paul McCulloch heads off, 21st off the grid. One of the people's favourite, Port Tuckley, Mudgee Cranes, off in 22nd. Currently second in the Pro Buggy Championship, so this is going to do his hopes no harm for that. That's what he's chasing in 2025. He's come second the last 2 years behind Travis Robinson in 23 and then Jared Percival last year, and now Jared Percival looks like, obviously with a lap completion here, that he's going to be definitely hard to beat for that ORC Pro Buggy Championship. But I'll give him that. Port Tuckley doesn't miss a beat. I know he had a little drama at Loveday that held him back. Currently in 24th spot, Port Tuckley. He's a great character of the sport, and looking forward to seeing him head over west to Kalgoorlie again in a couple of months' time. Based down there in Mudgee. Poor Goody. His wife Kate off the line now in the 678. Based down at Kulkan. between Wagga and Albury. Another one of our crews, brand new to the sport, just their second competitive event after doing Pooncarie in April. Should have been a close little race for them. As we lapse nearly 22 minutes, I reckon in the next probably 3.5 to 4 minutes, we should see our first car, Boston Morgan Horan. Just those couple of vehicles left to go as the husband and wife combination, the goodies, get off and running. Next one up is the 696. I like the goodies, only their second race start here in the off-road scene, based out of Hunter Valley, in there around Newcastle area. Ian Downey and Brian McCabe in the orange and black Can-Am X3, the 696. Another one of the crews. It's great to see them still out here having some fun. I haven't seen Ross Newman down there on the grid. He was actually seated in 26th spot behind Hank Parker, but we'll keep an eye on that. It doesn't look like to me that Ross Newman, got a couple of our Motorsports Australia officials heading back towards the headquarters, which means this will be our final car. Hank the Tank Parker and Simon Knight in the 701, our only production full drive competitor left on the track. He had that bit of a drama early on today. I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but he got home 2 hours and 30 minutes and 55 seconds to complete the field for the final time. Section 3 of the 2025 Kmc Wheels StGeorge399 is fittingly Hank Parker, and he is off and running. Bit of a miss there from Hank with a slow start. Black smoke, so he's full of juice, and he will, let's hopefully see him home. We'll get some in-car from him very shortly. A little glimpse of early parts of the first corner, Hank Parker. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen, for those watching on at home and on the hill. 25 vehicles off the line, and now we just wait. We wait to see who will be here first, who will be crowned our champions in 2025 at St George. Only 25 minutes since our first car. I reckon Boston Morgan Horan will be here any second. In the next 30 seconds or so, we should see the 489 of Morgan Horan and Will Haddock in the Geyser Brothers trophy truck. Hopefully we see him put on a bit of a clinic. Apparently haven't seen it live, but they reckon the way he enters the final corner up here to our left is quite phenomenal. Going to make the trek over from New Zealand worthwhile this afternoon, hopefully, in the 489. So get your cameras out for the last time. We'll see these competitors come through in front of our eyes. First up, it should be the 489 of Boston Morgan Horan. Here we go on our live stream, our first signs of the young Kiwi. Such a pity couldn't fight it out with these front-running cars this weekend with that diff failure yesterday. Shows the character of the young kid, though. A lot of guys would have probably just said, no, that's it, I've had enough, let's get out of here. But he stuck around, put up the fight, and he's just not only showing himself, I know he's doesn't need to prove it to anyone, but showing the Australian off-road world just how skillful, how talented this young kid is. He spins it around in front of the crowd for the final time. Race fans, 50 kilometres down, 40 to go for young Boston. Sounding an absolute treat. 26.11 to that 50 kilometre mark sector for Boston Morgan Horan. Remember, his quickest time this morning was a 50 minutes and 38 seconds. 50.38. Will knock that out of the water? We'll have to wait and see. I'm sure he's going to give it a shot. Hank Parker heading over the back of the circuit, over the whoops that his son famously made last weekend. It's been great to watch the competitors go through there, do their thing nicely, and Hank Parker is just going for a Sunday drive now. He's got the class honours backed up. He's missed the paper shop, old Hank, but he'll get down, he'll get home and collect the production four-wheel drive silverware in a couple of hours' time at event presentations. So the next one through should be Bo Robinson and Shane Hutt. Got some more great shots here of our, looks like our first car on the track, Boston Morgan Horan. But we should be just seconds away from seeing Bo Robinson, Shane Hutt come into the picture at the 50k mark. Here is our second car on the road. Bo Robinson, Shane Hutt, steady as you go. They look like they're very much in control of this event. Interesting to see if his brother's made up any time in the all-wheel drive Mason. Just keep a good eye there on Travis Robinson so they can really see that Boston Morgan Horan has pulled away incredibly here. So Bo and Shane Hutt. Try and get a split time for them. That's a 27.49. 27.49. So a good minute and a half off the pace of Boston, but there's a bigger picture story happening here for Bo Robinson. I reckon his brother's not that far away, Travis and Paul Curry. At this stage, it's not going to be enough to pull in that 45-second deficit. Jared Percival, Brent Smoothie, like they're tracking well. So here is the second of our OBR Masons, Trav Robinson, Paul Curry off into the western sector of the track. That was a 27.37 for Robinson and Curry, so sort of 12 seconds quicker. So the margin now down to around 33 seconds provisionally between the pair, the brothers, Jared Percival. Very impressive performance once again for Percival. So we got some more drone footage here of our championship leader, Travis Robinson, heading away from the complex for the final 40Ks. Jared Percival, get a time for him very shortly. There you go, a 27.27. So the second quickest on the track at the moment, which is what he did this morning as well behind Boston. And it looks like on times Bo and Travis pulled a bit in over the second 40Ks of this lap. Still Boston Morgan Horan leading the way on the track, but Bo Robinson and Travis Robinson fighting it out for that outright win here. Travis looking to make it 3 in a row in the ORC, and Bo Robinson looking to add another outright crown to his ever-increasing resume. Brent Smoothie. Great to see Brent Smoothie finally in his zone and the truck working well. A few engine dramas over the last 18 months or so, and the 847 Gary Olsen in the navigator's seat. Well and truly on a way to another finish here, third at Loveday. A weekend to forget in Alice Springs. So we'll keep an eye on that top four as we wait our next couple of vehicles to come through. Cooper Weston, Brett Comiskey, Kai Camilleri, Hayden Bentley. Next four of our cars through the 50k sector. While we've got a bit more time, just one more shout out to our incredible supporters and partners of the 2025 Kmc Wheels StGeorge399, of course, to Kmc Wheels for their naming rights sponsorship this year. BFGoodrich for their support of the Motorsports Australia Off-Road Championship. Once again, long-time partners of this championship. The SEQORRA Club for putting on a great event. All the officials, all the volunteers, everyone that has made this weekend a success. The McIntyre Agriculture, McIntyre family, now long-time supporters of off-road racing in the St George region. CMS Racing, Brett Comiskey and his crew for their support. The St George region, the Balonne Shire, without their support, it's not possible. The UTV Surgery, RDO Equipment, Black Diamond Powder Coating, of course Rush Trucks. And talking about Rush Trucks, here's our off-road Rush buggy. Young Coop Weston, Benny Boland in the silly seat in the 61. Putting on another little clinic out here. Great to see him holding his spot there, Coop. In behind Brent Smoothie. Here is Brett Comiskey. My bad, Brett Comiskey in the 834, the CMS Racing Brenthal. And hot on his heels is Kai Camilleri. So we've got a little bit of a battle going on here. It's sort of a section of the Section 3 starting order that I was a bit excited about. Weston, Comiskey, Camilleri and Bentley. And it looks like young Kai Camilleri is really turning one on this final section. So a shout out to St George Freight Lines and Maranoa Tyres and Stickman's Construction there. Assistance, sponsorship towards this event. So that is our first 8 competitors through at our 50-kilometre checkpoint. Hayden Bentley, Lachlan Bailey, Greg Campbell, Daniel Challen are scheduled to be here shortly. Looks like Hayden Bentley is still tracking nicely. So he's pretty comfortably in that top 6 outright going into this final lap, which I'm sure he's looking forward to holding on to. Beautiful conditions here as we just go past 12:30 local time. Nice southeasterly breeze, 21, 22 degrees. Dry conditions, as you can see. St George got pretty lucky over the last week. There's been a little bit of rain about here in southeast Queensland, top of New South Wales. Hayden Bentley, Sam Bentley flying the flag. Unfortunately, Hannah Bentley exited early on lap 1 this morning, but the all-wheel drive racer, Hayden Bentley, showing he's still got what it takes to be at the front of these fields. With Hank Parker, he won't be that far away. We'll try and get some sector points. got the one there for last time was a 2:10, 27.51 for Brent Smoothie. So stay tuned there. See Lachlan Bailey and Greg Campbell, Daniel Challen, Lachlan Waters, and Jack Livingston. So the next sort of 5 vehicles will be our front-running side-by-side pro competitors. You can see the dust. It's only the one-lap sprint, but Kai Camilleri, unfortunately, looks like he's about to get into some race dust behind Kmc and, of course, Coop Weston. Looks like our first truck on the road, Boston Morgan Horan and Will Haddock, around the 70-kilometre mark a few seconds ago. So really closing in here, ladies and gentlemen, as we approach 20-1 local time. Expect a bit of a barrage of side-by-side Can-Ams coming through shortly. Hopefully Lachlan Bailey, Greg Campbell, Daniel Challen, a few of those guys. I know he's got the championship on his mind, but Lachlan Bailey coming out of that top corner there to our left at a good noise, at a good rate. So the 6:22, sure he's got a few friends and family watching on from back home at Pinaroo in South Australia. With Greg Campbell starting behind him. There was a good couple of minutes between them after Section 2 in the outright order. Things are looking pretty rosy right now for Lachlan Bailey and Jordan Zolo. Looks like the next of our side-by-sides coming in a picture on our drone shot. Greg Campbell and Rylan Burt. So this is the final lap of the 2025 Kmc Wheels StGeorge399. Brought to you, of course, by SEQORRA, Kmc Wheels and Motorsports Australia, McIntyre Agriculture. There will be an event presentation